Okay, guys, we gotta talk. All right, let's talk about win streaking. Let's say I go and win streak on Nurse, and I try to get a 50 win streak on Nurse. In those games, there are a total of 200 survivors I play against. And realistically, I'm trying to kill every single person as hard as I can for 50 games in a row. That's about 200 survivors that I'm going to be win streaking against. And I bring up the question, is win streaking toxic for Dead by Daylight? This whole nature of win streaking is to win and make sure that no one survives. But the true nature of this process is basically to tunnel and camp and kill and brutally murder as many people as I possibly can in a row to win over and over and over and over again. And let's say, for instance, I'm an influencer. I'm a content creator for Dead by Daylight. Let's say I inspire 100 people to win streak when they play killer. My influence on a 50 win streak alone is about 200 survivors. If I influence 100 people to win streak with me, that number of survivors that gets influenced grows up to 20,000 survivors. 20,000 survivors that are playing against a killer that is tunneling and camping and always trying to make sure that the survivors never survive. 20,000 players have a player base, and that's only 100 people. Many well-known content creators such as Altstarva, SuperAlf, even a lot of people in the competitive community have been going for win streaks, and I don't think they mean any harm when it comes to win streaking. I think it's a great means for these content creators to drive views. People want to see a really good killer do really well, and it's a good means to make content where people can see you go all out, especially working towards a progressing goal over time. But I have to ask, is the formula for the process of win streaking in general, is it toxic for Dead by Daylight? Because basically, we're influencing people in such a way to also want to work towards a progressive goal where people are constantly getting tunneled and camped out of their games for a personalized streak. I think we can all agree that tunneling and camping is an issue. It's gotten to the point where behaviors added base kit borrowed time. It's gotten so far that on August 23rd, 2022, behaviors even increased the base kit borrowed time to 10 seconds and increasing the base movement speed from getting off a hook by 10%. I don't think it'd be fair to just point a finger at win streaking in general, but I think it's important to pay attention to the fact that Dead by Daylight used to have competitive level matchmaking, where behavior activated skill-based matchmaking indefinitely. This was an 8-month period where killer was stressful. It was almost impossible to play and get win streaks off. Killer was too hard. Now that skill-based matchmaking is way more easier for killer, win streaking is viable, tunneling and camping are way more viable as strategies in general, and I sometimes worry about the influence that this win streaking content has on the overall Dead by Daylight community. I sometimes wonder if the message that some people get from this type of content is that if I want to win my games, I should tunnel and camp. This is how we went undefeated for X amount of games. I should just do this. And I often wonder, is win streaking incentivizing people to tunnel and camp more? This guy won X amount of matches on my favorite killer. Let me see how he played. He did a lot of tunneling and camping. Okay, I guess that's what I need to start doing too. And I worry about the impact this has on the survivor community. Is it causing people to rage quit the game because a lot of killers are just mercilessly destroying people left and right? I do admit from a content creation standpoint that this is good content that is insane to watch. But really, what is the impact that this is having on a community? If I influence 100 people to win streak with me, that influences 20,000 people. Imagine the amount of people starting to do win streaks over time. Yes, it gives people something to do. But does increasing the amount of people that tunnel and camp in their games, is that a good thing? When it comes to win streaking is a good way to show if something is broken in a game. There used to be a group of survivors called the Deep Hip Squad, and what they would do, they'd play 100 games of Survivor. There would be 4 survivors playing a 4-man Swift and constantly trying to deep hip killers. They got around a total of 95 plus killers to deep hip out of 100, and behavior reworked the pip system to the emblem system that we have today. It seems like win streaking has been a good acid test to tell whether something is broken or not. So what exactly does win streaking indicate when we're talking about the strongest and weakest killers getting win streaks in Dead by Daylight? Trapper, Blight, Nurse, Spirit, Huntress. And if win streaking is inherently an indicator that something is unbalanced or wrong with a game, I have to ask the question, is Dead by Daylight by design inherently doomed to be flawed due to its asymmetrical nature? I'd like to point a finger at the game that I started my channel with, named Death Garden. Death Garden was released in 2018. Death Garden was created by Behavior and was a competitive FPS asymmetric game. Inherently, the game was designed to be killer-sided. And I had a lot of friends who played this game and thought it was fun. There was one issue that I had with the game, is when people would start doing win streaks. The underlying issue with Death Garden is that it would pair people who are completely new to the game to people who had hundreds and thousands of hours in the game. And it seemed like win streaking exacerbated this issue. There'd be killers going for 500 wins in a row with 5 survivors. That's about 2,500 people having an unbalanced match. There were other people who would go for 300 wins in a row, 1,500 players going in an unbalanced match. Win streaking lifted up the rug on the imbalanced matchmaking issue and showed that there was a problem. Ultimately, this was one of the major contributing factors to what led to the death of Death Garden. And I'm wondering if we're seeing some parallels in Dead by Daylight. Are there any issues that are being exacerbated due to this win streaking culture that's arising? It seems like Behavior believes there's an issue with the tunneling and camping that's happening within the game, due to them increasing the base kit barred time effects when a survivor gets unhooked. I remember when Killer was brutally difficult to play due to the competitive matchmaking system that Behavior implemented. Win streaking was almost impossible during those times. Now that Behavior has made skill-based matchmaking more easier for Killer, where a lot of the community is learning if I just kind of want to win, I should just tunnel and camp and play as merciless as I possibly can. Is that fundamentally an issue? Over time, I think by teaching a lot of killers that that's the best way to play Killer, I feel like a lot of survivors will suffer from that. But fundamentally, that's how Dead by Daylight is designed. The main issue here is that unlike Death Garden, this over-encompassing movement where people learn that tunneling and camping is the most effective way to play is a core gameplay mechanic. What happens when a lot of people just start doing it? The number one thing that I worry about the most, if win streaking is sweeping up the rug on the fact that Dead by Daylight is an asymmetrical game, and that fundamentally, this game is designed to be skewed, flawed, not symmetric, and if the solution is unfixable because tunneling and camping is a core mechanic of the game. But what happens when the players become too good at their role? You have killers that never lose. I worry that the win streaking is sweeping up the rug on the fact that Dead by Daylight is an asymmetrical game, and that would be a big problem in itself if the player base gets too good at what they do. Is win streaking the problem itself, or is win streaking pulling up the rug on a bigger underlying issue that the developers can work on and fix in and of itself? So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm just looking out. Thank you.